I know one thing. What up, YouTube? Shout out to my new subscribers. I really appreciate you. Thank you for giving me a chance and opportunity. And thank you to the young folk that be on the page. I appreciate y'all. Listen, this mayor of Chicago is the worst mayor in history. And the next one is Karen Bass out of LA, and I ain't got on her ass yet. He is awful. He is awful. He don't make no sense. He does not have a clue what he's doing. He should have stayed teaching because he has destroyed Chicago, especially because all he does is stand up for the illegals. And if he think he gonna get a second term, no, he's not. Not at all. But let's do an update on his ignorant buffoonery ass. Mayor Brandon Johnson refuses to fire top advisor as recommended by the city's inspector general. The city's top watchdog has recommended Mayor Brandon Johnson's right-hand man, senior advisor Jason Lee, because he ain't did a good job all. What? Wow. Be fired for failing to cooperate with a misconduct investigation, but the mayor is standing by his top aide. About 2 years ago, Alderman Bill Conway filed a complaint with Inspector General Deborah Witzberg, accusing Lee of threatening to withhold public safety services unless Conway supported key pieces of the mayor's agenda: an increase in real estate transfer tax on properties valued more than $1 million, and an end to lower minimum wage for tip workers. Well, now ain't no tax on tips. Conway was seeking to have the city remove a homeless encampment near Union Station and Ogilvy Transportation Center removed, as it had become a problem for violent crime and drugs in his ward. The alderman said Lee told him he'll get that help, but only in exchange for his vote. Mr. Lee took me back into the courtroom outside the city council chambers. He said that they would help me with this problem as long as I voted to raise the real estate transfer tax on working families of the city and raise the tip credit. But now ain't no tax on tips, bitch. That's how that went. This is total corruption, and he refused to fire him. That's why you got a 6% approval rating. You will not get back in. And once I didn't do those things, a clean out was canceled of this viaduct, and that was unfortunate. Conway says all you need to know about his involvement in the extortion that was committed upon me for public safety service. His complaint made it to the latest quarterly report from Whitesburg's office. The Inspector General's office report doesn't identify Lee by name, but Whisper said the subject of the investigation, like all city employees, is obligated by law to cooperate with the work of the Office of Inspector General. Her office recommended Lee be terminated and placed on no hire list for failing to cooperate with its investigation. Only once there was a prospect of discipline or, in fact, termination from a city job did the subject's attorney reach out to us. The inspector general said the subject's attorney told them they had intended to reach out sooner, but that it was not sufficient. If you get pulled over for speeding, you don't get to tell a police officer that you meant to slow down before you got there. Lee is still working out of City Hall. Political horse trading is a real thing, but we don't get to hold public safety services hostage to achieve mayoral policy priorities. Lee said he made multiple attempts to cooperate with the Inspector General's investigation, some of which are documented in the report. He said when he requested to have private counsel with him during the interview, the Inspector General rejected his attorney's participation. Lee also said the Inspector General's report did not find any evidence of wrongdoing in regards to Conway's initial complaint, but the Inspector General would counter that they were unable to reach a conclusion due to his lack of cooperation. The mayor's office responded to Whisper report by saying in part that the investigation found no evidence of any wrongdoing or misconduct of any kind, and that the inspector general recommended termination of the staffer based on the alleged noncompliance of the staffer with an interview request. Johnson's office said Lee requested to have an attorney from the city's law department or a private attorney present during the interview. In direct contravention of applicable law, the OIG deemed the staffer's request for counsel as non-cooperation and refused to proceed with the staffer's interview. There is no justification for imposing discipline on a staffer who has engaged in no wrongdoing and who merely asserted their right to counsel. A review of the correspondence shows that the staffer made multiple good faith attempts as soon as they were contacted by OIG. The mayor's office said the inspector general's decision not to proceed with an interview of Lee after he asked to have an attorney present had no legal justification, so the mayor decided not to fire Lee. The inspector general's report said while Lee's attorney claimed to have contacted them about his intention to cooperate with the investigation before they provided their findings to the mayor's office, they could find no records indicating that the attorney had emailed them. And the inspector general's office didn't receive any communication from the attorney until after the recommendation was made to fire Lee. Just another corrupt mayor. Wait a minute. Now that's the latest news. Now, back in February, Brandon Johnson proposed a bond $830 million, a move that has raised concerns about potential benefits to his allies in Chicago's teachers union. The proposal came just one day after Chicago's credit rating was downgraded to near junk status by Standard & Poor's. While the mayor asserts that the funds are intended for infrastructure and capital improvements, the ordinance broad language permits allocations to various entities, including educational institutions or nonprofit organizations. Critics highlight that this would allow the funds to support the teachers' union, Johnson's former employer and a significant campaign contributor. That man got to go. He got to go. He got to get the hell out of there. Now, this is what he says. Chicagoans like their teachers, love their schools, but they do not like Chicago Teachers Union's political machine. In fact, for every one Chicagoan with a favorable opinion of the CTU to have an unfavorable opinion of them. So they have become politically toxic in the city of Chicago, and voters are actually much less likely to vote for candidates who are backed by Chicago Teachers Union money. Both the CTU and the mayor's office declined to comment on the poll. However, the mayor was asked earlier about the possibility of a teacher strike. Schools that are fully resourced, fully staffed with rich, broad curriculums that includes after-school activities. That's what the people of Chicago wants. That's certainly what I want as a parent. He is awful. Okay, let me get that up there. Let me see. Let me get these articles out the way. All right, let me see that. Let me see. Let's go. Two more articles. Let me see if I can find this. Oh shit. Oh, I gotta delete all this. Illinois governor says Trump administration has requested troop deployment as tensions rise in Chicago. So Trump has had the troops there to protect the facilities because the ICE raids. The Trump administration stepped up immigration enforcement in Chicago this month. Pritzker said was a pretext to deploy military troops against the Chicago area. Pritzker, and he awful too, and I did not know he came from a billionaire family with his fat ass. Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson has struck a defiant tone since Trump began threatening to deploy the National Guard to the city of Chicago. And then the way y'all act towards, and then you think he gonna give y'all some money. Instead of being, you can still be cordial to get what you want for your constituents. They so dumb. They don't even know how to play the game. But the appearance of masked federal agents in downtown Chicago, flaunting Johnson's recent executive order bearing masks, he don't have no control. The federal government trumps state and local law. And the hundreds of migrants that the federal government says it has detained in the sweep have underscored local leaders' limitations against presidential authority. Right, you don't have no authority. You have no power against the federal government, idiot. Yo, dumbass. Oh, he's an embarrassment. I told my cousin, she stopped talking. I said, y'all got the worst mayor. Just awful. Oh, what's this article? all these black boule people that go against their own people. And that's what they are, black boule. So then a rogue federal judge blocked the National Guard deployment in Illinois, but guess what? The appeals court overturned it. You still lost. Y'all stupid as hell. I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do to make sure my people got money. Okay, let's get off into these videos with this stupid ass man. Let me go to the oldest one first. This is dumbass. Embarrassment. And then you can see how stupid his ass is. And had a nerve to be arrogant. And you running your city to the ground because you take the backs of illegals over your citizens, over Americans. George Soros must be paying y'all a lot of money. Here we go.
Hello, I am Mayor Brandon Johnson, and I am proud to join you in recognizing and celebrating Africa Day. Happy Africa Day, everyone.
And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my people. You know,
This is Paralegal Institute. I love him, so a lot of the videos gonna come from him. Check him out.
My question is, what did you do for Africa Day?
What
did you do to celebrate Africa Day? You know, I'll be honest, y'all. I didn't even know about Africa Day.
I didn't
until
either.
Your boy Brandon Johnson popped up on my X feed telling me Happy Africa Day, and I was like, huh? I didn't know there was an Africa Day, but you know who did? Your boy did, because he is your nation's top civil rights leader. He's the nation's top revolutionary. You know, so
that part.
If anybody was gonna know it was Africa Day today in the United States of America, actually it wasn't today, okay? It was a couple of days ago. But if anybody was gonna know which day was Africa Day, which day is Ghana Day, which day is Kenya Day, which day is Mozambique Day, which day is all the different days, your top revolutionary, the illustrious mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, he would be the one to know. Now, y'all, what today's video is going to be about, by the way, y'all, we'll play that whole clip at the end of this video. After I give my sign off, I'm going to play the Happy Africa Day by your boy. So if you want to see that
let me
whole
get
clip,
there. Let me get there.
Again, frustration that the American people are subscribes to.
The question right now.
That you've done nothing but attack the Department of Justice and Donald Trump by name, including
we need the question, otherwise we're going to have to keep going.
Harmeet Dillon, the Assistant Attorney General, who in a recent interview said that your racial
we're going to keep moving.
Is an open and shut case.
Yeah.
So in light of that, a lot of people are wondering what kind of legal advice, in light of the fact that you and your administration could be responsible for millions upon millions of dollars in lawsuits. What kind of legal advice are you getting? Are your
okay? Thanks for the question.
So here's what's important here, that the conversation around what does it mean to have an administration that reflects the values of the people of the city of Chicago, and whether or not that approach is something that the administration subscribes to. Clearly they don't. You know, we have the most competent, talented, loving, diverse administration. 64% of the administration is made up of women, and that there's value there. And you know, it's certainly
that's not answering the question.
You know, the Trump administration, right, where you have pro wrestlers and individuals who, quite frankly, should address their their addiction to controlled substances. And as someone who is running a department that knows nothing about Department of Human Services, right? There's a
He
degree
got the
of
most competent team ever. He is such an idiot.
actual positive results that we can speak.
Racist rhetoric and hiring practices.
Yeah, thank you for that question, and I fundamentally oppose and reject the premise of your question.
Thank you. We're going to Tara now.
Thanks.
All right, y'all. So I'll be honest, y'all. This video, at this point,
He is
watching
pitiful.
Your boy, the illustrious Brandon Johnson. Okay, love y'all. Now let's get into it.
Hello, I am Mayor Brandon Johnson, and I am proud to join you in recognizing and celebrating Africa Day. The continent of Africa is made up of 1.2 billion people with diverse countries full of rich traditions, cultures, and heritage. The African diaspora can be found in cities and countries around the globe. And right here in Chicago, our proud African communities have made indelible contributions to the growth and fabric.
Right,
of
that's
our
all you
amazing
care
city.
about.
So this Africa Day, let us take a moment to celebrate the achievements of the people of Africa, the progress made by African nations, and the traditions and culture they have shared with us. And let us also show them that we will
And that's all he care about is the illegals.
President to terrorists.
No, what I'm saying is trying to hold people hostage and manipulating them to succumb to his will, that is how terrorists behave. We're not going to negotiate with terrorists.
What are your thoughts on having a meeting with the Trump administration to try and, for lack of a better phrase, kiss the ring to be able to stop the federal funds from being held back?
Exactly, dumbass.
I would just say, outside of a 2016, Cubs World Series ring, I'm not kissing a ring, okay? The President of the United States.
And that's why you have no funding from the government, dumbass.
And I'm going to just be bold here for a second. There's a long history of black political leaders talking to people who may not see us as first class, trying to force your will to break the spirit of working people in order to have a conversation. That's terrorism. We're not going to negotiate with terrorists. We're going to negotiate on behalf of working people in this city. And that's what American people want us to do.
And
There's a reason why he's losing.
And that's why you have a $1 billion deficit, idiot. You ain't got to like the man, but you're supposed to be cordial enough to get the funding that you need for your constituents in your community. You dumb fuck.
Support. Now, he doesn't care. This president refuses to see our humanity. And his response to this economy is to give tax breaks and benefits to the ultra-rich while the rest of us are struggling. You got to show up for working people in this.
That's a lie. No tax on tips helps millions of people that rely on tips. Now it ain't got to be taxed. You dumb fuck.
In this country. And not for the oligarchs and the ultra-rich. That's what has destroyed our economy. Is that we have the ultra-rich who continue to receive tax breaks while the rest of us have to pay for their failures.
You're talking about terrorism. You're not calling the president a terrorist.
No, what I'm saying is trying to hold people hostage and manipulating them to succumb to his will and then hold up our tax dollars, that is how terrorists behave.
As a black woman.
He's holding up your tax dollars because you're protecting illegals in your city of Chicago. That's why. Fuck. And that's why he had to come in there and do what he did to get their ass up out of there.
You aren't first class.
Facts.
You're not first class. Now with that haircut, he's not. Yeah, he's corny, as we say here in Baltimore. He's a cornball. Okay?
He is.
I haven't heard that in a while. He's a cornball. I haven't heard that in a while. Brandon Johnson, he's full of it. He's full of corn, okay? He's full of corn, and he ain't got no balls. So
don't.
What he is he is weak. He he's weak.
Weak
And
as
nobody
hell.
asked him to kiss President Trump's ring, and he's not bending to his will. He's wants you to bend, if you will, to the will of the American people.
Facts.
To protect your damn city. To
Facts.
get the illegals out. To get
Facts.
your education system to actually educate the students in Chicago.
Facts.
$20,000 a clip a year per student in this. The grades are still in the toilet.
Right.
This is what he wants. Brandon, this is Scott. No, this is Johnson. All these damn Brandons, all these asshole Brandons. We got one here in Baltimore too, y'all. But at the end of the day, he's full of it. This is all because they hate Trump. It has nothing to do with the policies. It has nothing to do with, any other thing good that President Trump is trying to put forth. It's just the fact they have this seething, deep-seated hate for the man himself.
Facts.
That's all this is about. And then what did he say? Something about he doesn't approve of our humanity? I don't approve of your daggone humanity, Brandon, because you're full of it. You're full of shit. I don't approve of shit either. It stinks. It belongs in the toilet. And that's what you're doing to the city of Chicago, running it in the toilet.
Facts.
50-year-old man with a mohawk that disqualified you from so many serious conversations.
Come on, that part.
Trump's poll numbers are up. So says CNN.
That's what I said.
Brandon Johnson's poll numbers are in the toilet.
6%.
He's not gonna win re-election.
Yeah, Nicole.
That part.
On his,
That part. Well, we ain't gonna listen to the whole thing, but he's such an idiot. Ain't no way. I'm gonna get the money from people in my district. Dumbass.
Now, Mayor Johnson with his sharpest criticisms yet of President Trump. At a news conference this morning, he compared the policies of the White House to acts of terror.
Trying to force your will to break the spirit of working people in order to have a conversation, that's terrorism. We're not going to negotiate with terrorists.
I do want to talk about the Trump administration, the threats to withhold money for CPS, more than $1 billion over DE&I issues, and you've said you would sue if that happened. What is the status of this?
But this president doesn't care. It's the same person who freed January 6ers. He's more concerned about protecting his extreme base, the interests of the ultra-wealthy, than actually supporting working people. So imagine you...
While you are in the business of protecting the illegals instead of people who are Americans, asshole.
The city is broke, like a sinking ship with too many holes and not enough buckets. Crime is up.
This is
turning
Hannibal
neighborhoods
is
into
hungry.
no-go zones. People are packing their bags like it's an evacuation drill to get the hell out of there. In the
Right.
schools, they're not just struggling, they're limping like an overweight mule on its last leg. Now imagine the mayor grabs the mic and says he's proud of only hiring people based on their skin color, not results, not experience, just race. That's not hypothetical. That's exactly what Brandon Johnson did. So, like a firefighter showing up to a blaze, tossing gasoline instead of water, he made the problem worse. And now the DOJ is investigating. At
As
this
they
point, He may
should.
be the worst mayor in America since Tiffany Hayden got voted out.
So, somebody going to jail.
And that's like someone flunking clown school.
Come
This
on.
isn't leadership. It's a slow motion train wreck where the conductor is too busy posing for a diversity calendar while the city derails behind him. Let's get
Facts.
into it. The U.S. Department of Justice is officially digging into Mayor Brandon Johnson's hiring practices. Why? Because Brandon Johnson said the quiet part out loud at the church event, that 45% of his leadership team is black, and that hiring his people is how he helps everyone.
And that set this all in motion.
The deputy mayor is a black woman. Department of Planning and Development.
And that's fine as long as they qualify.
Infrastructure deputy mayor is a
I
black
gotta give you
woman.
something else to drink.
Chief operations officer is a black man. Budget director is a black woman. Senior advisor is a black man. And I'm laying that out because when you ask how do we ensure that our people get a chance to grow their business, having people in my administration that will look out for the interest of everyone, and everyone means you have to look out for the interests of black folks.
The problem with that is Chicago is falling apart. I mean, check out this guy's approval rating. So I don't know what he's talking about. This guy seems to say and do the exact opposite of what a competent mayor would. Like he looked at the playbook for smart leadership and chose to run it backward. And somehow he thinks that diversity optics are going to win here. And speaking of the Department of Justice, while they're out busy investigating the mayor for hiring based on race, they're also going after another group pulling some shady moves, healthcare giants targeting seniors. And that brings me to something that actually helps people, especially if you are 65 or older. What's going on in healthcare right now, seniors are getting taken
Facts.
advantage of left
Ooh.
and right. Some of the biggest Medicare companies in the country are literally under DOJ investigation for pushing senior citizens into bad plans just to line their pockets with kickbacks. That's why I partner with Chapter. They're not out.
Okay, well, we don't want to hear that part, Hannibal. Even though I love your content. Damn. This is him when they question him about sanctuary cities.
Brennan Gill went all out on Mayor Johnson.
You, as mayor of a sanctuary city, have been virtually giving favors to illegal aliens. Apparently, you support an enormous amount of taxpayer resources going to them.
In a House Oversight Committee meeting, the Texas representative cornered Chicago's mayor and even put the one question on record that mattered most.
Do you know everyone who's given you a gift since you became mayor?
That's why today we're covering it all. Because we're not here to
This is Millionaire Mentor.
We're here for common sense. So, if you're an independent thinker, hit the subscribe button and let's jump right into it.
Mayor Johnson, I want to start with you. One of your first actions as mayor was establishing a deputy mayor for immigrant, migrant, and refugee rights. I want to ask you a series of questions. If you could answer with a yes or no answer, that'd be great. First of all, do you support allowing illegal aliens to obtain driver's licenses? Just yes or no?
Look at his
The city of
dumb
Chicago
ass.
has been a welcoming city for over 40 years.
I'll take that as a yes. Next question.
He go on talking about city of Chicago is a welcome. Yes or no? Yes, you let them get driver's license. That's why we got all these damn crashes, especially with the CDL, with the semis.
It's the policy that we will hold to.
Do you support tax dollars subsidizing or paying for the health care of illegal aliens?
I support investments in all residents and the people of Chicago, and that's what I do.
That's a yes as well. Do you support free or reduced college for illegal aliens?
Again, I support the investments of all residents and the people of Chicago.
That is a yes. Next question. Do you support allowing non-citizens to vote in local elections?
Again, I'm not over the jurisdiction of that type of law, but again, I'm committed to investing in all residents and the people
I'll
of
take
Chicago.
that as a yes. I've got an article from the Chicago Sun-Times, and I'll quote here briefly. Johnson proposed, among other things, that all residents, regardless of citizenship status, be able to vote for Chicago Board of Education members.
Ha! You heard that right. The state of Illinois issued driver's licenses to individuals who entered the country through what many would call not
Unbelievable. And that's why you got a $1.6 billion deficit. Idiot. You would be a one-term mayor. This is retro stuff.
mayor.
One drop of this under your tongue before bed, and that's it. Your brain will wake up sharper, more active, and crystal clear the next morning.
Excuse me,
Today,
no.
I'm going to show you how to make this recipe using raw honey.
Who is so bad, even the Chicago Tribune, lead editorial today, basically saying he's trying to come up with other ways to drive businesses out of Chicago. So many have already left. I guess Citadel left, went to Miami. Others are planning to leave because of high taxes. Now they're figuring out ways to add more corporate taxes onto businesses in Chicago. But people say, oh, just let the cities go. Let them collapse on their own weight because this is what the voters want, Governor.
Well, the voters don't want that. The voters want cities like Chicago and New York to be vibrant, successful, and historic cities like they are. These are cities with great people in them. The problem is the leaders have failed them.
But you
Facts.
guys can probably see by now that sanctuary city mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, is destroying the city as we know it.
Destroyed
and
it.
somehow trying to place the blame on President Donald Trump. Take a look.
You know, as far as, you know, the president's animus towards women, people of color, working people, we have always known who he has been. And this is not a surprise. He's a monster. Period. We have the most diverse administration in the history of Chicago. And he is threatened by that.
Wow, you can't even make this shit up. You can't make it up.
We have a president that is screaming and having tantrums right now because we have an administration that reflects the city of Chicago, but he would much rather have administrations that reflect the country club.
Eric, this stuff is so bad that it's becoming laughable. Now we've got that sanctuary city mayor, Brandon Johnson, calling President Trump a monster and saying that he is acting out because he knows that he's guilty. But I think this is projection 101. You actually got Brandon Johnson being referred for criminal prosecution alongside other sanctuary city mayors by Representative Anna Paulina Luna.
So you don't believe that banning the transfer of individuals into ICE custody for the purpose of civil immigration enforcement encourages illegal immigration into Chicago? Or how about agencies, or agents not being able to stop, arrest, or detain individuals based solely on their immigration status or administrative warrant?
So we comply with all laws, local, state, and federal.
No, you don't.
To me, after this line of questioning, it's very clear that these policies that you have all implicated are active and alive and well in your cities, are in direct violation with U.S. Title 8 Code subsection 1324, and it is a federal offense. But you all speak about a broken immigration system, and yet here you guys are aiding and abetting in that entire process. I want to be very clear about something. Open border policies, which is something that you guys are talking about, hurts people on both sides, meaning the people that are coming here illegally and then American citizens as well. I do not think you guys are bad people, but I think that you are ideologically misled, which is why, unfortunately, based on your responses, I'm all going to be criminally referring you to the Department of Justice for investigation. And as soon as I leave here, these will be going over to Pam Bondi. I'm not doing that in an effort to bully you guys, but I do believe that your policies are hurting the American people, and you can make that known
Facts.
with the evidence that you can present to the Department of Justice. But if you guys continue doing what you're doing, you're not going to help anyone. You're going to hurt more people, and that's exactly why I'm tired of it. The American people are tired of it. And Chairman, I yield my time.
Wow.
Facts.
That was
Facts.
Anna Paulina Luna
Facts.
referring Brandon Johnson alongside other
Facts.
sanctuary city mayors for criminal prosecution.
Facts. You hurting the American people. And his dumb ass.
The city of
broke.
Chicago has a massive $1.1 billion budget gap to fill ahead of next year. And with the mayor promising not to once again pitch a property tax hikes for city residents, which council, by the way, unanimously rejected this year, what's the game plan for next year? He says he's looking at creative ways to raise tax dollars. And today at City Hall, we learned exactly what's on the table.
Everything has to be on the table. Everything has to be on the table.
The menu on that table appears to target Chicago's ultra-rich, namely finding ways to extract more tax dollars from the 127,000 millionaires that now call Chicago home, as well as the 25 billionaires residing inside these borders. As for the concerns that these ultra-rich will leave if they get taxed more,
They're not leaving Chicago. So this notion somehow that we're scaring millionaires away, it's just the opposite.
Mayor Johnson says the number of Chicago millionaires jumped 24% in recent years. Also on that table, resuming Chicago's corporate head tax. On the books from 1973 to 2014, it taxed companies with over 50 Chicago-based employees $4 per employee each month. It raised $35 million in its final year, ending under Rahm Emanuel, who called it a job killer.
This is the perfect time for us now to look at progressive means.
The message it would send to would-be Chicago employers is
Move your employees outside of the city of Chicago.
Facts.
Samantha Breslow
Facts.
specializes in Chicago's
Facts.
structure for corporations.
I represent companies that say to me, why would I be in the city of Chicago any longer? Why would I have employees here? Because I'm being subjected to this tax.
She says the city needs to focus more on generating tax from additional sales and service receipts. A fresh tax on social media advertising also on the mayor's tax table.
People have made billions of dollars from the digital industry. This is something that I've been looking at.
Chicago, though, far from the first to attempt this revenue stream.
I think they need to be very careful with implementing a tax like that. It's been attempted in other states, and there has been substantial challenge to it and not a lot of success.
The mayor says he has working groups assessing which of these, if any, and other so-called forms of progressive revenue should move forward. We'll learn which ones get the green light when he rolls out his budget proposal this fall. City Council will then have to approve it.
So basically what's happening in Chicago is the mayor is looking to tax businesses and they are looking to tax citizens, including possibly increasing property taxes because the projected budget deficit in 2026 is 1.1 billion.
Exactly.
From 942 million in 2025 and 116 million in 2024.
Facts.
And this mayor just has no clue on how to keep businesses and residents happy. And so what you're basically seeing is people are getting absolutely upset. He's now saying that he wants to tax people that have a net worth above a certain amount, right? And they want to basically make it unfair, which they don't realize that all they're going to do is run out a bunch of people
Facts.
that don't even want to continue to be subjected to it, but just have a sentimental or a business or some kind of tie into Chicago, but they're not fixing the fundamental issues of what's wrong with Chicago. And those
Facts.
fundamental issues are, aside from the fact that they don't even own their own streets, those fundamental issues are, first of all, you got 50 aldermen, all making on average about $130,000 a year. Insane.
And that need to be redistricted. That whole shit need right.
They have a shortage of more than 2,000 police officers that should be raking in regular money, right? You have a brain drain when it comes to the amount of companies that want to move to Chicago and do business because they can be more competitive in other states, while at the same time not having all of their monies sent over into City Hall that then they call Crook County and then they go and waste your tax
Facts.
dollars. You have an inordinate amount of spending. You have so many people that are complaining about the highest property taxes inside of the state.
Facts.
So you don't have enough revenue coming in and you have more in expenses, so they need to balance the budget, and they need to do similar to what Trump and Elon Musk did when he first got into office, and they need to have a Department of Government Efficiency to go through and audit everything.
I agree.
And one of the reasons that
I agree. Instead of raising tax, because that's all they know how to do.
Mayor, let's go, Brandon Johnson.
This is news
He
for
says that
Risa
Chicago's
people.
finances have reached point of no return. What does that mean? Chicago bankrupt? Let's get into it. Here we go.
We have reached a point of no return. The systems that people rely upon, education, healthcare, housing, our transportation, they are woefully underfunded. And everyone knows that. Everyone knows what, my commitment is to progressive revenue. I can't do this by myself.
The mayor's statement coming in response to a question about a pension bill Governor Pritzker signed into law last week. That law will increase retirement benefits for police and firefighters, adding more than $11 billion to Chicago's long-term pension liability. Johnson says the state needs new progressive revenue options, but he did not name any specific plans.
Of course he didn't. When Let's Go Brandon Johnson starts talking, it just leads to one liability after another.
That's a
doesn't it?
fact.
He just opens up his mouth. Who was it? Who was it who was saying at the game?
Just terrible. Just terrible. I don't know how they thought that this man was going to be. Y'all better stop voting for people because they black. That's all I got to say. It's your policy.
So our Are Chicago's finances worse than previously thought? The question was raised yesterday at City Hall. So what could that mean for you?
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson has now admitted that the city's finances are completely out of whack. The budget deficit was
This
even
is
bigger
actual
than what was
justice.
projected, and none of us should be surprised by this because when you elect a socialist candidate to the mayorship, somebody who doesn't care about criminality, somebody who diverts resources in order to pay for illegal migrants over
Facts.
citizens, this is the most logical result. This is the most logical consequence. And now Brandon Johnson, in an absolute panic, is trying to figure out a way to raise taxes on the residents of the city of Chicago in order to extract more from them to try to plug this budget deficit. But in reality, there is no way forward when you pursue these kind of taxes. And this
Facts.
is what we're going to talk about today. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money.
Ask me the question.
Okay.
Ask me if I support, I'm gonna help you out.
Yeah.
Ask me the question if I believe that we should invest in our children and make sure we don't lay off brown and black women. Yes. Yes. I'm not gonna tolerate cuts. That's what the issue has been in this city.
Now, Brandon Johnson had already broken a promise.
You're not going to tolerate cuts, but you can't keep paying people when you got $1 billion deficit. You have to cut. You have to cut. How you going to get rid of $1 billion deficit and keep spending? Insane.
Earlier on about not trying to raise property taxes, which is a big sticking point in the city of Chicago when he tried to do it earlier this year, but that got voted down. So now that he has basically been obliterated by his own aldermen when it comes to property taxes, he has to find a bunch of new revenue solutions. According to him, in reality, he needs to cut spending. That's what needs to happen in order to plug this gap. But of course,
That it don't take a rocket science. If you over budget, you gotta cut spending. Dumb fuck. And he was a teacher.
These costs, or was it?
Thank you for that question, Justin. There were a number of ideas that were on the table, some of which, will be debated and discussed, in the coming months. And we have reached a point of no return. The systems that people rely upon, education, healthcare, housing, our transportation, they are woefully underfunded.
And we're
A point of no return. But you just gonna keep spending. What idiot does that? Brandon Johnson. That's why you got Flip Chicago red out there. You gonna turn your whole city. Chicago might be red.
right to the say suggestion via channel number.
This is Mr. Lord React.
Guys, that's expected. Right to the say, use some more money. We're hype and happy. Let's say
downtown is still recovering, and so we've been looking at all these different things going on that really caused this hole. But we didn't do anything to prepare for it. We spent all the COVID money creating programs and creating additional jobs. And now that the COVID money is running out, that's adding more deficit to our revenue on a day-to-day basis. So we didn't do anything last year to raise property tax fees or fines or anything, and we just kind of punted last year, and that also added to this hole. And so it was a compound of really bad judgments that really got us here.
It sounds like you're almost blaming yourself for this. Was it you? Was it the mayor's office? Who's to blame?
Well, it wasn't me, because I voted against every budget the last 5 years. And so it was definitely the guidance of the administration that really pushes the agenda as far as our budgets are concerned. And so when you look at our budgets, it's the mayor's responsibilities to present us with budgets. And, I've been fighting tooth and nail about all these bad decisions that have been made, and it's just right now it's not enough of us in the city council to really right the wrongs that are going on. When you look at the fact that we spent $814,000 on a wrought iron fence during the pandemic, knowing that we have a deficit, why would you do something like that?
Right.
Why would we spend over $600 million on migrants when you know we have a deficit like
Facts.
this? Why didn't we have a hiring freeze or start furlough days back in March and April if you knew we had a
Facts.
deficit like this coming. And so there was no preparation. So it's just bad decisions going forward.
Go ahead and make this man the mayor. He seems
Right, I like him. Now, I like
He
him.
doesn't seem so wasteful. He feels.
Now, this y'all, he come from a $1 billion family, and here go his dumb ass.
Ladies and gentlemen, Meet the Press just absolutely humiliated Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. I have never seen the Democrat media embarrass a fellow Democrat like this in my entire
This is
life,
Brandon Lehman. I
especially
like
one
him.
as prominent as J.B. Pritzker. I mean, she fact checks to his face lie after lie and leaves him stunned, speechless, and rambling like a buffoon because he clearly expected a softball interview. This is even more humiliating than what CNN did to Hakeem Jeffries last week. You guys are going to love this video. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel, but we're going to get straight into it. Here's J.B. Pritzker claiming what Texas is doing with redistricting their maps is illegal, and the host just instantly fact checks him. Watch.
And all of us need to stand up and speak out and make sure that it's understood across the country that what they're trying to do in Texas is illegal.
Well, Governor, it might be illegal. It's not unprecedented, though, or it might be rare, I should say. But Texas actually tried to redraw districts mid-decade before in 2003, and the U.S. Supreme Court actually upheld the map in that case with the exception of one district. So the argument that Abbott is making is it's not illegal, though they are doing it certainly in an off year.
Now, J.B. Pritzker is gearing up for a 2028 presidential run alongside his elitist buddy Gavin Newsom. But in my opinion, this interview single-handedly ruins his entire presidential run in one sitting. The host drops a massive fact check on literally everything he says. That was just the first one. And J.B. Pritzker is left absolutely hopeless when he realizes he's not going to get away with just spewing blatant lies. It exposes two main reasons why he has no chance of becoming president.
Right,
Number
that
one,
part.
he has an egregious track record to run on. The enormous negative migration out of Illinois, the overwhelming support for illegal immigrants to receive taxpayer funds. He wants boys to play in girls' sports, consistently raising taxes on the residents of Illinois anywhere he possibly can. I'll give him that. That's his one skill. J.B. Pritzker can squeeze some tax dollars out of his citizens better than maybe anybody else. But the second major reason he won't become president is unlike his slimy buddy Gavin Newsom, J.B. Pritzker can't spin or word salad his way out of that egregious track record. Gavin Newsom will at least get you lost in the white teeth and the hair gel and the word
Right.
salad. J.B. Pritzker just goes quiet and then turns every conversation towards Donald Trump's a threat to democracy. And I guess third reason, honorable mention, he is just grotesque to look at. I want to believe
That
most
part.
Americans
That
don't
part.
want that guy representing all of us on the world stage.
Hell
But because
no.
he's gearing up for a presidential run, he's decided to stick his nose in the Texas redistricting battle and harbor all of the Texas Democrats who have fled their state and abdicated their duties. So he can tell people he stood up and fought against Donald Trump and didn't bend the knee, and how he supported democracy because gerrymandering is bad. And then the Meet the Press host pulls up a map of Illinois, which is one of the most gerrymandered, and calls
They
him
can't
out
even
to
gerrymander
his
the
face.
gerrymander.
Look at the map of Illinois. Let's take a look at this. Despite President Trump winning 44% of the statewide vote in 2024, Republicans hold only 3 of Illinois' 17 districts. These districts seem to be designed to maximize Democratic advantage. What do you say to those who argue that it's hypocritical for you to criticize Texas for partisanship when your state also drew maps to boost your party's standing?
Well, remember that what Texas is trying to do is, again, violate the Voting Rights Act. We didn't.
That's
we held
not true.
public
That's a
hearings,
lie.
Legislative hearings. People attended them. They spoke out. There was a map that was put out. There were actually changes made to the map. And a map was passed. And it was done at the end of the census, the decennial census. So
That's how it's done in this country.
So he admits what I said in a previous video about the Democrats complaining. They know this is legal. They know Texas has every right to do this. They're not even against gerrymandering. They do it themselves. What they're mad about is this is being done at a time where the Democrats are the most unfavorable they've ever been. They don't have a leader. They don't have a vision. They don't have a message. They're not united. Their entire base is radical and bloodthirsty.
Facts.
They want children to be chemically castrated and surgically mutilated. They hate America, so they want open borders. That way we can import the third world and they can siphon off every last bit of wealth we have before we eventually crater. They love socialists like Zohran Mamdani and AOC, and then they turn on those same socialists because they're not radical and revolutionary enough. And Donald Trump is just knocking win after win out of the park as contrast. They're mad because this is their nail in the coffin. As McDonald's founder Ray Kroc said, if I see my competitor drowning, I will walk over and stick a hose in their mouth. And that's why the Democrats are panicking and freaking out. They see the light at the end of the tunnel. They are on the brink of extinction. And for a party that only believes in absolute power, bigger government, the idea that they may be a permanent minority party is unraveling them at the seams. But the host continues. She does not lay off J.B. Pritzker. She brings the receipts and shows him to his face that every organization on redistricting gives Illinois' maps the worst possible grade they can get for having fair districts.
Well, look, sticking on your state's map, every major group that grades the fairness of congressional maps gives your state an F. Common Cause, a nonpartisan government watchdog, even says your map, and I'm going to quote, represents a nearly perfect model for everything that can go wrong with redistricting. And I guess the question is, you talk about preserving democracy. How do you preserve democracy if you're using the same tactics that you've criticized Texas Republicans for?
Come on. Come on.
But as I say, what they're talking about is a distraction. The reality is that the violation of people's voting rights is what Texas
is not.
That's what's wrong.
That's a lie.
With their efforts right now, and the fact that the president of the United States knows it and nevertheless is asking them to do it. That is what's wrong with what we're seeing right now. Democracy is at stake, and these Texas Democrats are standing up to what the GOP is attempting to do, which is to...
Standing up to what? A losing battle? All you do is vote no because it's not enough of you to do anything. Facts.
To steal seats because they know what they've done is wrong. They know that they've made an enormous mistake.
I mean, can you imagine a worse response to her question? Governor, all of
Because I believe
party, Bernie Sanders, AOC, Zohran Mamdani, saying that billionaires shouldn't exist because Republicans are generally pro-business. These are billionaires who are solely people's lives, who doesn't care about having any...
Both of them need to go. Pritzker too. He awful. Oh shoot. I can't bring that video up. Wait a minute, let me see. Oh shoot. Oh, they terminated that person. Oh, they terminated that account. Oh, they terminated. What's this? Wow, they terminated their account on YouTube. Wow. Can't show you that video.
Chicago. I love Chicago. Matter of fact, I'm developing a new affinity for Chicago because I'm starting to feel bad.
This is Anton Daniels.
And the reason that I'm feeling bad for y'all just a little bit is because y'all are so ignorant.
So ignorant.
Here in Detroit. Thankfully, the people in here in Detroit, over the last however many years, we've had a phenomenal mayor.
Facts.
Mike Duggan was awesome.
He was.
He was very much bipartisan, and he worked with everybody, and he was more focused on fixing the city, and he did an awesome job. He's did a phenomenal job.
He
Shout out
has.
to Mike Duggan. Let me give him a round of applause. The reason why I say a little bit is because we got lucky. Even though we have a low voter turnout, right? We got lucky with Mike Duggan.
Yeah.
Okay? Y'all are not so lucky. because y'all are intentional in voting for somebody like a Brandon Johnson, a Lori Lightfoot, and whoever else, all 50 aldermen. You know, y'all need a complete revamp of y'all system.
Facts.
Because why do you have 50 aldermen on your payroll?
Facts.
Let's do a little bit of math.
That's a fact. Why?
To the details, because I want y'all to understand why it's important for y'all to get involved in the legislative process. Why are y'all just okay?
We're going to cut that out there. I got to go to bed. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Hit that like button, y'all.